I will therefore now go to our panel, who and I will start with Honorary Barrister Shamim Haider Patwari, who is a member of Parliament. He is a second-time elected member of Parliament, an experienced lawyer who has for many years worked on many issues of social justice, and currently today is the chair of the committee on parliamentary committee on migrants, on migration. Barrister Shamim, let me ask you, as you listen to some of these, as you've seen some of these videos, and in Indonesia, in Bangladesh itself, you are hearing of these kind of issues from migrant workers and the support organizations. I know the Prime Minister of Bangladesh has also made a statement with regard to this in the ILO governing body. What are you seeing in terms of this issue? How big is this issue of non-payment of wages? Barrister, the mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you, William. Of course, it's a very, very crucial issue. It's a serious failure of justice, serious instance of miscarriage of justice, and of course, a serious violation of human rights. Of course, the government is looking at it very seriously, but what we lack at the moment is a cohesive and a concerted and a collaborative and holistic approach. And we have to take also an international approach. You also mentioned in one article about a transitional machinery, something like that, a transborder machinery, something like that. We have already the soft law or soft international standard, and it is also important that we give these workers the support, the lawyers support, the lawyers panel support, the legal fee support, and also we should list them together and file cases in the receiving country or any international forum. I doubt whether we still have any international forum for that or not, because most of them are based on some agreement. I think the Asian Migration Forum or any other international forum, they can form their own grievance procedure and own mediation court or arbitration court, and you could invite those receiving countries or companies of those receiving countries to comply with the international standard. If they didn't comply, we can really file, not case I would say, we can file complaint or application against them or for resolution of the matters. So mediation could play a very crucial role in a corrective justice approach to pay back their wages. That's one aspect. The second aspect should be we should give a priority list to the receiving countries that you send them back. Now, whenever the door will be open, you should give them a priority to include them in your working force. So that's one thing we can do. A number of instances you have cited, and I've read a couple of newspaper articles where there's thousands of examples of waste theft. People came back empty-handed. In one article I read written by Raziman Kattapan, it is published in the Hindu on 19th September, and he cited an example where one company alone sent back 1,400 employees without giving them 10 days wages. That tantamount to $369,000 of waste theft. So that's not only issues of waste theft, and also the workers are forced to work overtime. Workers are forced to work overtime without any additional payment. And in Bangladesh, in a report published in June, 22% workers only says that they are getting adequate food in many cases. So almost 78% workers are saying they're not even getting adequate food. This is another form of waste. The approach is very difficult. How we can combat this situation? We need an international approach or a regional approach at least. And a government-to-government approach. When I talk to the embassy, and the embassies are really concerned about safe repatriation. That's the only thing they are mostly concerned about. So the wages and other conditions, they are not really concerned about. So we can really request the embassies to take a power of attorney from the returning workers at the time of repatriation, so that on behalf of these thousands of workers, they can file a representative suit in the receiving country. I'm just telling the options we have at the moment. And in ILO, in May, they says, due to COVID, the Middle East region, there may be loss of 6 million or more jobs, and most of the jobs will be migrant workers. So we also need a huge compensation package from these receiving countries, and distribution of this compensation package. We need a national agenda, a national reintegration policy formulation. That's we still lags behind. So we need a priority of these returning workers in the social security scheme. So we have lots of social security safety net scheme. So in all safety net scheme, there should be one column, the returnee vulnerable migrant workers. So if it is a old person's card or woman's card, widow card, whatever the card we have in this country, there should be a column for returning migrants. We also need to do a vulnerability map. If you have time constant, just let me know. I will stop there.
Yeah, maybe I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you with if I can just have a follow-up question. I like that you have said you're focusing on a much bigger. You've said picked up the idea of a transnational system. You've talked about the role of international institutions. You've said the possibilities of how countries of origin can secure power of attorney. You see, a large as a parliamentarian, and as you are seeing this, I'm wondering what is the parliamentarians caucus itself doing or can do to raise this issue up to at the national level, because you have said maybe the bilateral thing might not fully work. We need a bigger process than a bilateral thing. So how can the parliamentary caucus itself raise this at the national level? Because Bangladesh is quite a big country of origin and has deployed, and as far as I recall, I think almost 400,000 plus migrants have already returned from Bangladesh. So what is the caucus currently looking at as to what you all could do?
We really want to work at a vertical level as well as in a horizontal level. Of course, in the vertical level in the parliament, I and some of our members, they are really they're ready to raise the question in the parliament what the government is doing or give some suggestion to the government. But the problem is at the moment, I read a number of articles where it says the receiving countries facing one problem because their court system is not working. The same is true in Bangladesh. The parliament is not fully working. So now at the moment we have like 30 days or 20 days parliamentary session, but every parliamentarian is only allowed to come only 3 or 4 days because of the COVID distancing or something like that. So now we are just doing a basic routine work in the parliament. That's the problematic area. But what we'll do immediately after GFMD, we will arrange a seminar or webinar on these topics, and we'll discuss with our parliamentarians. We will form a website or a blog or a group where we can receive complaints, and then we can really refer those complaints or the collective complaints to the ministry or to the embassy, and really monitor them, some of them at least. We have resource shortage. We can already work on policy matters, and I think also we can engage some lawyers, some international lawyers. We'll try to engage them. And for reintegration issue, I would recommend in the parliament that we should have a social insurance for these returning migrant workers, and we need a vulnerability mapping. That is important. Whenever someone is repatriate or returnee, so what is his status at the moment? Does she have brother, sister, family, house, home? So we need a vulnerability mapping, and we should work according to this vulnerability mapping. When he or she returned, how much money she came with, that's important. How much money she able to send back, that's important. And then we can really make a decision what support she or he need. Does he or she need a loan? Does he or she need a sending back to another country for work, or he need a victim support center or a victim approach? What she need or he need, that is important in our country. So from caucus, what I can really confirm, my Secretary General is also there, I think, Majabin. So we'll consult and we'll arrange a webinar. I'll be very happy if you give some time. You says It's extraordinary time, and we need extraordinary measure. Of course, we really want your input and others' input. What this extraordinary measure could be, because of the economic factor, the receiving countries will be extremely reluctant to come to a negotiation. But if you look at the international human rights standard and human rights situation, they should and they must come to some form of negotiation or mediation, something like that. Even the parliamentary caucus will invite them for some mediation, and we'll try to assist the ministry in initiate this mediation and negotiation process, and to get the compensation package and distribute this compensation package among the returning migrants. So many things could be done, but what should be the priority that should be set? At the moment, what should be my priority? My opinion, that the embassy must focus at the moment that there should not be any further instance of waste theft. That is my priority. And then the theft that had already been taken place, how can we correct that? How can we take a correction approach to that? How can we pay back their wages? That is our approach. Thank you, William.
Thank you so much. I think you have raised some very, very important points, and I'm glad that you are going to raise this in the House, in the Parliament as well. I